Team. What's up? What's up? What's up? Jason, Drew. Welcome to
What's
the
up, Gabe?
chat, boys. Good to see you, man. It's been a little bit.
Likewise, man. Welcome home.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Feels good to be back on US soil. Drew, what's up, man? Long
Yeah,
time.
not much. How you doing?
I'm in Joey's setup right now. Look at this guy.
I see
Coming
that.
in.
I'm coming to say what's up since he wants to steal my setup for the day.
I'm in Joey's setup right now. So I've been complaining to the guys about how just completely retarded this sideways camera is. Because I can't look at you guys in the eyes.
Yo, this looks good, man. You just gotta learn to tilt your head and look up there. That's all it is.
All right,
That
guys.
bad, that bad chair also I saw.
Terrible chair.
Yeah, you're a pushy chair. I'll see you guys.
See you, man. But yeah, guys, I'm just in Joey's apartment today doing some work. But it's good to see you guys. Jason, Drew, we're gonna download just a bunch of information. Drew, you actually lived through what we're going to talk about today. Because I want to reveal like all the kind of key essentials that we implemented over the trip that helped us stay lean, stay healthy while we're on vacation, right? It's so simple and it's so easy to like almost overlook everything that goes into trying to stay on track as much as possible while on vacation and having the good, healthy default actions because we do it so naturally, right? Like Drew, Joey, and I sit down for dinner. Like, of course, we're looking for the highest protein option on the menu, right? Like, of course, we're eating eggs for breakfast and not freaking Nutella croissants, right? Croissants, right? Like, of course, when there's a challenge or workout that we can take up, we do it. Like, obviously, all of the default kings were doing all the physical challenges. We were using all the workout equipment the most, like obviously, because that's part of our identity. That's who we are. But as I was thinking about like everything that we actually do to set ourselves up for success while traveling, I realized that there was quite a few things that we can do. And, it's not that you have to do it all every single time, but if you have all the tools in your toolbox, like you're going to be good as gold. So we're going to go over that stuff today. And then we can discuss like specific situations. Maybe if you have questions about, man, well, what would you do in this situation? Or what would you do in that situation? Or what if this, or what if that, or what if you're in a foreign country, right? Whatever it is. And then we'll discuss that. Sound good, boys?
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Awesome. So pretty simple here. I actually have a list of pretty much everything I can think, everything that I was able to kind of think about that we actually do here, apart from the obvious stuff.
It's timely for me, Gabe. My wife and I, we're heading to Europe this week, and we're going to be gone 2 weeks. So, I've been trying to like look ahead, and I mean, candidly, I'm a pretty picky motherfucker when it comes to food, and I see all this Europe fish. So I'm like struggling. I've already been kind of like mind fucked by this whole thing. Like, what am I going to eat? I can't eat pizza every single day. We're going to be in Italy and in Germany and in Luxembourg. And so, yeah, I'm excited to hear a little bit more about this because I'm just like, damn, I mean, I hope I can find enough stuff to keep me satisfied and happy. Because some of the menus I'm looking at, I'm like, holy shit, I don't even know what that means. It looks like it's mainly seafood.
Yeah. Dude, well, awesome. First off, congrats on your trip to Europe. Is it just a vacation with the wife?
It's like a hybrid trip. So she has some business over there. She's a corporate attorney and she's representing a client in Luxembourg.
Cool.
And then since we were going to be there, I'm just tagging along. We decided to go to Venice and the Amalfi Coast in Italy. That's kind of been on our bucket list. So while she's working in Luxembourg, I'm going to do some day trips to Germany, to France, just by myself.
Dude,
so
that sounds
I'm
amazing.
excited.
That sounds amazing. What a crew we got for today's training tactics call, because Drew and I just freaking got back from exactly what you're about to get into.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a ton of insights for you, man, because this is all top of mind for us. And there's a ton we did while being in Croatia and also France, spending some time in France where, dude, like Croatia, if you were to ask me, 2 weeks ago before I left, I would have told you, man, is that a third world country? I have no idea what the hell is in Croatia at all. It wasn't a third world country. I came to find out. But it still presented its unique challenges when it came to eating healthy and staying as on track as we could while enjoying ourselves, right? Without totally ruining the experience because we were some health freaks. It was actually really funny because we were on this trip and there's this amazing human being, amazing person, who was extremely, extremely healthy. Drew, if you remember Miss Valeria, do you remember her?
Mhm.
Okay, fantastic. Man, this lady, she's in her 40s. She is fit as a fiddle. All the credit to her. But she is keto, right? And I find this out the first night because I'm sitting next to this lady talking to her, and she's telling me about how amazing her life is and all the crazy stuff she does. And then they bring out the appetizer, and she's like looking at the waiter, like, "Oh no, I don't want that. I don't eat that." And I'm like, "What? Like, what do you mean you don't want it?" Right? I'm not gonna even pretend to remember that I know what the appetizer was called because it was this weird Croatian thing. But she didn't eat it. Okay. And then she didn't eat like half of the dinner or any of the dessert. And meanwhile, there's freaking me and Joey and Drew, Mr. Down 75 pounds, sitting there destroying the dessert, eating the appetizers, right? And crushing the dinner. So it was really sad for me to see that this lady was just kind of restricting herself the entire time, and she apparently she's happy. It's fine. It works for her, but it kind of sucked to see her miss out on, sharing a gelato with her husband and instead kind of sitting in the corner. A little bit sad to see for me, right? Anyway, we want to figure out ways to stay on track and not kind of like dig ourselves a massively deep hole that aren't going to be hyper restrictive, right? Because there's two goals here. It's not just be absolutely perfect and stay on the program and be, progress as much as physically possible. The other goal is how do I enjoy myself as much as humanly possible without totally throwing my body and my mind for a whirl, right? We don't want to come back and have this sense of defeat or this sense like we dug ourselves a hole that we have to try to pull ourselves back out of, because that's where the negative emotions start playing in and where you start to question your own identity, right? Man, I couldn't stick to it on vacation. I gained all this weight back. So, I must not really have these things locked down. We don't want that to happen. So let's start getting into the actual tactical things you can do. The first thing that came to mind, and this was almost like in chronological order for me, was stocking up on beef jerky. Okay, stocking up on beef jerky. The reason this came to mind first was because when I was traveling, my first flight, I believe, was like 2 hours to Washington, D.C. from Orlando. And then I had a 9-hour flight to Austria. And I don't travel international, so I couldn't tell you if there's a gun in my head that they, were going to serve food on the flight over. I didn't know that. That was a surprise to me. Yeah, I was like, "Whoa, fancy. Okay, I get a meal on the plane." So naturally, as soon as I get to the airport, I look for beef jerky in the snack sections, right? Beef jerky is widely available. If you're not sure if they're going to have it at your airport because you don't live in a city like Orlando with one of the biggest airports in the world, then find it at a gas station, right? Stock up on beef jerky. 1 pack of beef jerky. This is the stats from Jack Link's, like teriyaki, I believe, but every other beef jerky is going to be around here. 1 pack has 35 grams of protein and 280 calories.
I'm just trying to prepare ahead. I went ahead and bought a few of these today. So I feel like I'm on the right track here. Good.
You're on the right freaking track, man.
Another hack, Gabe. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Another hack though is like any like sealed bags you can bring through security, right? And so I'm like a cheap bastard. I'm not going to pay, a 200% retail for beef jerky at the airport. So freaking go to Costco. This is what me and my wife do every time we travel. Go to Costco, buy as much beef jerky or dried fruit as you want, throw it in your backpack, and you can take all that on the plane. So
good to know.
Great hack, bro. Great hack. That's something that some
Thanks,
people
Jacob.
don't know that stops them from even trying, is like, man, I can't bring that through security, right? It's like, yeah, you can if it's sealed. So totally, really great idea, brother. Thank you. But yeah, you're looking at this, right? You can bring 2 packs and you're getting 70 grams of protein for, I'm not going to, fail quick math here, but 560 calories, I believe, which is not bad at all, right? That's actually weirdly good. And the other thing I love about beef jerky is that it is satiating and satisfying because it tastes like real food, right? Of course, every now and then we're leveraging things like protein bars and protein cookies and whatever else is in there. But sometimes that stuff gets old. You just feel like you're kind of chewing on paste, right? Once you have enough protein bars. So I like the fact that it kind of tastes real and it feels like a meal. But yeah, beef jerky. Beauty of beef jerky too is you can keep it in a rental car and it's not going to like go bad, right? You don't have to refrigerate it. You don't have to put it in a lunchbox. You don't need a cooler. You just throw it wherever you are and it's going to last. So that is definitely a hack. And you probably saw me posting pictures of, my bags of beef jerky before I left on that flight. Second thing is, this is a little bit more for kind of at the airport, maybe before the airport, is looking for Fairlife protein shakes. So most airports are going to have these now as well. Definitely most gas stations. Foreign countries, they're not going to have Fairlife protein shakes because, America, number one, capitalism. We're the only ones who have them. But drinking Fairlife protein shakes, this is a go-to. When I packed up to leave for my trip to Europe, I packed up pretty late at night, and then like I had to wake up really early, so I was short on sleep. And if I set my alarm for like the latest time possible, right? 15 minutes, get up, brush teeth quick, out the door to the airport. And what that meant was I was kind of running. I didn't have an extra 2 minutes to make my protein shake. I probably could have, but in my mind, I didn't have the extra 2 minutes, but it was okay because I found my Fairlife protein shakes at the airport, right? And I was able to drink one for breakfast like normal. And I didn't have to start the entire trip off on the wrong foot by either being too hungry or eating some crap for breakfast, right? Drinking Fairlife protein shakes. Again, if you are in the US, these are going to be everywhere. I've been to cities like Hilton Head Island. I've been to a ton of other places around the US where it's just like, even if you can't find them, you can maybe Uber Eats them to your Airbnb and just keep them on stock, right? In Nashville, in the retreat, we had like 20 of these just as the snacks, so people can snack on the Fairlife protein shakes. But foreign countries, probably going to be hard to come by. Number 3 here is one of my favorite ones that people don't really think about. And if you're intentional about this, it's going to make the biggest difference in the world. And that is booking active excursions. Okay. Booking active excursions. Active excursions can be anything like, I'll just use the example that Drew, myself, and Joey did when we were in Croatia. We decided to rent e-bikes and bike around the islands instead of renting scooters and scootering around the islands. And it was kind of funny because at first we were planning on renting scooters. We didn't even really think about this, but it did make a huge difference in terms of calories burned. And we got to the scooter shop and there was just complete chaos, right? The freaking business in Croatia is just, it's like all just crazy, right? It's freaking Croatia. So we pull up to the scooter shop and we see the Croatian lady yelling, trying to get everybody organized. One of the people from our boat freaking crashes a scooter in the middle of the street, and we have no idea what the hell's going on. But then we realized that they tell us they're like out of scooters. And so we're sitting there kind of waiting around, are they going to have 3 more scooters or 4 more scooters, whatever we needed for us. I don't know, not really. And then we see these e-bikes and we're like, why don't we just get the e-bikes? So we get the e-bikes, and the e-bikes, they do have like a assisted pedaling, right? So they weren't the type where you can just kind of turn it on and go like a motorcycle. You did have to pedal and it kind of just made you go way faster. But it'll still work, right? Like I did not feel like an e-bike going up those freaking mountains on that second day. True. My legs were burning. We biked maybe, 16 kilometers, a little over 30 miles or so, or maybe a little bit under. But it was a great time, right? Being able to get those miles on our legs and, burning a ton of calories, probably 2 hours straight of just movement, where, we could have just been sitting down, right? And it was funny because we were on these e-bikes, and of course we're burning calories. We're having the time of our lives. And as we passed the rest of our group who's all on scooters, they're like, "Oh man, you guys all just had to show us up, didn't you?" And we're like, "Yeah, yeah, we did." So look for active excursions. Look for things like hikes, right? Hikes is one of my favorites, right? Whenever you're in a new area, there's probably, unless you're in Florida, there's probably going to be some place where you can hike to a view or just walk around the city instead of Uber everywhere, right? Like, it seems like whenever we're in a city, any walk that's under like 20 minutes just seems like a freaking trek, but you're on vacation, right? It's not like you have meetings coming up, and that walk through the city to get to the restaurant versus And Uber is going to be, an opportunity for you to connect with your family and have conversations and tell jokes and make memories and see even more sights, right? When we were in Paris, we walked from the Eiffel Tower to the Arc de Triomphe. and
Perfect.
I think it was like, yeah, I think it was like maybe a 20 to 25-minute walk. It wasn't a short little walk. But we ended up being able to see the entire city. And we had just the best time in the world, just telling jokes and telling stories and experiencing that together because, our minds were okay with taking the walk versus just having to Uber, right? So try to be active as much as you can, walk through cities, go on hikes. When your family is sitting there, looking at dad, because Mr. Dad is supposed to be the leader, saying, Dad, what are we going to do today? Maybe take some initiative and find the most active excursion you can possible, right? And you use that as an opportunity to get the entire family moving and set the example for your family that being on vacation doesn't just mean being a couch potato and just slumping over and eating a box of Oreos, right? So active excursions, active excursions, active excursions. Tip number 4 is drinking lots of coffee. This is a traveling hack because coffee is available everywhere. And naturally, I mean, in my opinion, when I travel, I have more situations where I could be tempted to overeat because there's just so much food to try when you're traveling, right? And, having that appetite suppressant just kind of calms everything down, allows you to think logically instead of emotionally, especially around breakfast time, where there's so many opportunities to just have 1,000-calorie breakfast, right? To have a 1,500-calorie breakfast if you so choose. The eggs are right freaking next to the pancakes and the Nutella croissants, right? So when you already have that coffee flowing in the morning, your appetite is suppressed, and then you can make that conscious decision versus, an emotional decision when it comes to eating breakfast. Tip number 5 here is ordering double protein at restaurants. Okay, ordering double protein at restaurants. And this is one that when I give people this advice, some people are like, "Oh man, do you really do that? Like, come on, double protein, you order 2 proteins at restaurants." And the answer is, if I'm looking at the menu and I can't, decipher whether that's going to be a sufficient protein or not, I'll absolutely ask the waiter, like, how big is this? Right? How many times did we ask waiters, Drew, on this trip, like, how big is it? Right? Like, how big is it? And they're like, oh no, it's enough. It's enough. And then we're like, no, but like, really, how big is it? Like, come on, like, how big is it? And then they're kind of like, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. We're like, okay, cool. Double protein. Right. Or we order something else that has protein. This happened probably 4 times out of like the 7 dinners that we went to when we weren't able to order like a big piece of fish or a steak or something. Man, thank God that we did that, because a lot of these protein servings, especially at restaurants, are going to be 8 ounces or less. You look at the typical protein serving that we're eating to hit our protein goals, it's usually more than that, especially if you didn't have control over your lunch, which might have been lower protein than your usual at-home lunch. Those dinners can be a really great opportunity to load up on protein. So really, 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 if you're not certain that your dinner is going to have enough protein, ask your waiter. If they're not telling you with confidence that it's enough, then it's probably better to be safe than sorry, right? And beautiful thing about this is, number 1, you hit your protein goal, obviously. Number 2, you get to try potentially 2 different things, right? So we went to this one restaurant and they had like a fish of the day and a steak of the day. And instead of having to choose between fish of the day and steak of the day, I had both. How freaking awesome is that? It was so amazing. They were both delicious. And fish of the day and steak of the day. We went to a few different restaurants where they had pizza and like something else. And instead of having to pick, I had both. Man, how beautiful is that experience? So, a ton of benefits to ordering double protein. Also, if you're with people who don't, do the same thing, then they're probably going to ask, like, why the hell are you eating double protein? And now you have an opportunity to lead and pull them up to the healthy lifestyle. Plus, that's going to be a moment that builds your own identity that, holy crap, man, like someone's asking me about my actions in relation to my health. I must be doing something right. So that's really good confidence builder and really good for building your identity. Cool. Hack number 6. This is one that I myself did not do on this trip. Drew, I don't think you did either, but there were actually some ladies on the trip with us that they did this hack, and it was hilarious because I heard them talking about this hack, and they almost like realized that people were listening to them discuss this, and they started to like talk much quieter, like within themselves. They started to whisper, like, oh, it's a secret. It became this big secret because they knew that this hack was so valuable that if other people on the boat found out, especially other people who are in shape, you know, myself, Drew, Joey, then this precious cargo might have been taken from them. So what this hack was Drew, by the way, this was Sophie and Devin that were talking about this. What this hack was packing protein powder in Ziploc bags and taking it through TSA. This is another one of the things like beef jerky, where as long as it's in a sealed container, you can take your protein powder through TSA and have it on the trip with you. And it's so simple to do because you don't have to throw your whole freaking tub in like a checked bag, right? Right? You can imagine that, somebody like checking a tub of protein. That'd be hilarious. But all you have to do is, when you have your big Ziploc bag, take your protein scoop and literally count out how many days you're going to be gone. Because then you can count out how many scoops of protein you will need to take into that freaking Ziploc bag. And if you want to be overzealous, you can go double, just so you have that kind of padding in case you don't hit your protein with lunch or dinner, right? This is something I did when I was much younger and I would travel, and I didn't exactly have the budget to just friggin' order 2 steaks if I want to do at a restaurant. What I would do is, if I was going to be gone for 5 days, I would pack 10 to 15 scoops of protein in that bag, right? Now, if I were to do it, since I'm probably just going to eat enough protein through food, I'll probably just pack one for every day or not bring it at all. But that's a really easy one. If you're really, really not sure if you're going to be able to access food, then how many days am I going to be gone? 5 scoops into the Ziploc bag, throw the scooper in there so it's easy for you to create that protein shake, and you're not like fumbling around powder and spilling it all over your hotel room and all over the clothes and all the crap. And bring it with you, right? I recommend also bringing a blender bottle. Reason being is because when you're on vacation, I'm telling you from experience for myself, man, it's the littlest things that throw us off from sticking to our commitments, especially on vacation. So I know I've been traveling at points and I brought my protein powder, but I didn't bring a blender bottle. And so, you know, I'm there, I'm like, all right, time to have my protein shake. Oh man, like I can't find a water bottle. I guess I'm not having it, right? Just for something as simple as that, right? I can't find a water, or have a water bottle like this. And I'm like, oh, I got to funnel the freaking protein in here and like, shake it up, and it's all messy and disgusting. And then I don't want to do it the next day because it's this whole ordeal, right? It's often those things that feel like pebbles in our shoe that can like make us have to take an entire break from the freaking race in the first place, right? So do everything you can to just make it as easy as possible, and bring the blender bottle, and, you know, obviously maybe overpack some of those protein scoops depending on how long you're gone.
And Sophia, she was mixed in like her yogurt every morning. So that's, you know, if you don't want to bring a bottle, you can, you know, do that as well. I did have protein powder with me as well. What I bought on Amazon is it's like a travel pack with like, it had 7 like tubes with like a funnel, and you actually like put your daily serving into each tube. And then I would actually put that in my coffee every morning.
Yeah.
So
that was crazy. That looked like some freaking chemist. Can you send that link in the nutrition chat
sure.
of like what you actually bought?
Yeah,
so that was pretty cool. It looked like, so you had like tubes of your servings of the creatine and like collagen powder that you brought. Is that right?
Yeah, it was a serving of creatine and a serving of collagen protein. Yeah, so in each tube, and I would just put that in my coffee every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's basically it literally looks like test tubes with like a screw-on lid on each one, and it's but I'll send the link as well.
Yeah.
And that goes through TSA, no problem.
I checked it, so it was just in my check bag. But yeah, I would probably suggest checking it, just because if you try to go through like the security with it, they may try to like test it and stuff. So I'd probably just put it in check baggage, just so no issues.
Yeah, that's great. That brings up another point too, because let's say you want to bring like supplements or something like that, like creatine. One thing I've done is I always mix my creatine into my protein shakes anyway. So if I'm scooping 5 scoops of protein into the Ziploc bag, instead of creating another Ziploc bag for creatine, I literally just scoop the creatine into the Ziploc bag with the protein anyway, and just mix it up and shake it up. And it kind of creates this evenly distributed, 5 days worth of protein plus creatine. But that's a great idea because Drew has a horror story about Ziploc bagging protein, right? Or was it creatine on one of your trips?
Oh yeah, that was when I went to Mexico in January. I put it in just like a Ziploc bag and it checked it, got to my destination, opened up my bag, and it had exploded in my bag. So I had
Oh,
creatine all over my all over my clothes and stuff. So yeah, that was that was not good. So yeah, that's why I bought these like test tube things, because then they're actually sealed and no issue with that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's maybe do that, guys. Just in case. That's a great tip, man. I appreciate you sharing that, brother. Yeah, obviously, when you're doing this stuff, do everything you can to make sure you don't cover all your clothes in protein. If you take a bag, squeeze the air out of it for sure. Maybe put it in one of those zippers in your suitcase versus just in with your clothes.
yeah.
Excuse me. Or in like your toiletry bag or something. But definitely try to keep it away from the clothes and make it as unpoppable as humanly possible. Is a good rule of thumb. Next tip here is overstocking on water. So when it comes to overstocking on water, like we obviously already know all the benefits of hydration, right? Why we should be drinking way more water, why that curbs appetite, why that just allows our bodily functions to function properly. The reason I want you to be intentional about overstocking on water, not just like thinking I should be drinking water, but overstocking on water is because water is absolutely scarce when it comes to traveling, right? It is scarce when it comes to traveling. Like we're not at our desk, so we don't have like our just water bottle sitting with us all day, every single day. Sometimes hotels are not going to have like water just in the room, right? At all times. If you're at events, sometimes they're not going to have water at all times. If you're going on hikes, like there may not be places to fill up water bottles at all times. Airbnb is probably the easiest, but you're most likely not going to be at your Airbnb all day, every day when you're traveling. So I make it a point to overstock on water bottles as much as I can. I'll keep, half of a case in the rental car so that no matter where I drive, I have water. I'll keep one in the Airbnb, keep one in the hotel room. So I have an overstock on water, right? Water is like ammo, right? It's better to, have too much and not need it than to not have it and really need it. And I will say the overstocking on water was a mistake that I made over this last trip. And I'm paying for it today. Felt definitely chronically underhydrated over this last trip. And I can tell you for a fact, I was not drinking enough water whatsoever. It was funny how accessible the drinks were at the bar, and how the water was a little bit less accessible. But I went to jiu-jitsu today, and man, I felt chronically underhydrated. I had a headache after rolling, and just felt completely disgusting. But overstock on water for sure. I messed up on that this past trip and definitely paid for it. I was waking up a few mornings just drinking freaking water out of the tap of the sink because I didn't have water bottles, and that was no fun. So definitely overstock on water. Cool. Tip number 8 here is going to be doing minimalist workouts. So minimalist workouts can be an entire training tactics call on its own. But in general, when I talk about minimalist workouts, what I mean is you want to do workouts that are extremely basic, right? Like you don't need a bunch of fancy stuff. You don't need a perfectly designed, programmed out to the T workout every single freaking day of your travel. Of course, if you have access to a great gym, do your program. Why not? But if you don't, then still do something, right? On this ship, as a lot of you guys probably saw a bunch of videos and stuff like that, they had very few pieces of equipment. They had some dip bars, which is pretty cool. Actually, most places don't have that. They had a few dumbbells. The only dumbbells were like 9 kilograms or something. And they had a few sets of kettlebells and a band, I believe. And we were able to get some really awesome workouts in because instead of worrying about, oh, they don't have, my perfect little chest press hammer strength machine that I usually use, and they don't have a barbell bench press, we just did dips as many as we could, as hard as we could, to failure, to hit our chest and triceps and shoulders. Right. And it wasn't, what I would have personally put on a program for myself, but it was still really, really solid. Right. They also had, they didn't have the perfect, preacher curl machine that I like to use for biceps, but they still had dumbbells, and I was still able to do dumbbell curls. Right. They didn't have the tricep extension machine, and I couldn't do my skull crushers like normal, but I was able to do tricep kickbacks with the light dumbbells that they had. We were able to, they didn't have a lat pull down machine, but we were able to tie a band to one of the bars on the ship and do some wide grip rows. Right. You don't have to have perfect workouts on vacation to progress your body. Okay. The bottom line is that you don't need perfect workouts at all, actually, to progress your body. Okay. And that doesn't mean that really well-designed workout programs like you have all invested in are a waste of money, because the perfectly designed programs are the most efficient way for sure to progress your body. Right. You're getting as much as you possibly can out of your time and effort spent in the gym, and it's as practical as humanly possible. You're getting the most bang for your buck when you have a perfectly designed workout, for sure. But that doesn't mean that a more basic minimalist workout isn't going to help you progress. Does that make sense? You might progress more with a perfectly designed workout. You will, with a shorter amount of time, with less effort, with less confusion, but you still can achieve progress with a very basic style workout with a few pieces of equipment. Is that making sense, y'all?
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, Gabe, question for you. So like, there's oftentimes, like, even if I take my arm right now and kind of kick it back with no weight, I mean, you can kind of get a nice, squeeze or whatever you want to call it. Like, do you recommend doing that too? Because I feel like every single movement that I do in a quote unquote perfect workout, I feel like I can get, even if I pretend to like bench press and kind of get a squeeze. I mean, it kind of looks silly, I guess, but I almost feel like you can get some really good squeeze in any of the movements, even without weight. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, no, Jason, that is a absolutely fair assessment. But it's not a viable way for you to build strength or muscle. And the reason is this: what causes muscle growth is not actually the sensation of our muscles working. Okay. For the very same reason that I can sit here and I can flex my bicep as hard as I can. And if I flex this bicep for 30 seconds as hard as I possibly can, I'll go to failure. Like I'll have to stop. If I sit right here and do the fake bench press and squeeze, I'm getting a more of a squeezing sensation right now than I do on like a heavy dumbbell bench press. Right. Same thing with your triceps. You can do that kickback motion and get a great squeeze, but it's not that squeeze that causes muscle growth. Okay. That squeeze is actually just the sensation in your brain that your muscle fibers are shortening. Okay. That's not the sensation that they're working very hard. Okay. That's the sensation that they're shortening, that they're squeezing and pinching together. Does that make sense?
Yep. So there's no benefit that way?
So there's no benefit to doing that if your goal is to build strength and muscle. Okay. That doesn't mean that if you feel a squeeze on a workout, it's bad. That doesn't mean that at all. Right. If anything, that's an indicator that your muscle is flexing. Remember, we said that's the sensation that your muscle is shortening. So when you feel a squeeze on an exercise, it's a good indicator that your muscle is flexing. It's working.
Yeah.
Right? But what causes muscle growth are the 3 activators of muscle growth that we talk through in the training modules, which is intensity, progression, and execution. And for a muscle to be put under sufficient intensity, there has to be load there. There's just no way around it. Right.
Got it.
And then it also has to be, in terms of execution, it has to be taken through a full range of motion. Right. So there are benefits to like this idea of isometric exercises. That means just keeping the muscle essentially in one place and squeezing it as hard as you can. But there is nowhere near the amount of strength and muscle gain that's going to occur only working the muscle in one position versus working out throughout a full range of motion. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
Great.
Got it.
Great. Fantastic. Yeah. This is also why, this very reason is why you do not require a mind muscle connection with your exercises in the gym in order for that exercise to be effective. So a lot of people talk about, you need a mind muscle connection. You need to feel a
Yeah.
great squeeze. Anytime you hear somebody online talking about a great squeeze as the goal of an exercise, or a great mind muscle connection as the goal of an exercise, run far, far, far away. This is actually a commonly used false marketing tactic in the fitness industry, is creating ineffective exercises that have a great squeeze, because most people know that inexperienced people that aren't in the fitness industry are going to associate that squeeze with the muscle working. Right. And so if I give you this fancy exercise and I sell you this program that's just, you don't even have to work out. You can just sit at your desk and just squeeze your chest together like this. You feel the chest working, don't you? Right. Then boom, great, awesome. But that's not how it works at all. Okay. Like we talked about, you need those 3 activators of muscle growth. So what I'm saying here is that if you're ever doing an exercise and you don't feel a squeeze in the muscle, that's okay. If you think about something like a squat, like a really, really heavy squat, you're not really feeling a squeeze in your quads when you're doing a squat, right? You feel a squeeze in your quads when you're doing something like a leg extension, because that muscle is very short. It's very flexed up. But I've never felt a squeeze at the bottom of a 400-pound squat. Okay. I've never felt that. I'd be really concerned if I did. And there's no one here is going to argue that heavy squats are bad for muscle growth and strength gain, right? So you don't require mind muscle connection. By the same token, just sitting there and getting a mind muscle connection, the squeeze is not going to make your muscles grow. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Great question though. Very, very great question. Tip number 9, guys, is eat eggs. Eat all the eggs at breakfast. The reason I say eat eggs, especially when traveling, is not just because eating eggs is a great tip overall, but eggs are everywhere. Eggs are absolutely everywhere. If you go to a mom and pop local breakfast joint, there will have eggs, guaranteed. If you are on a yacht like we were, every single morning, there was a buffet of eggs. I could have as many eggs as I possibly wanted to every single day. If you're at a crappy freaking motel that has breakfast, they're going to have eggs, right? That might be the only thing they have. I don't know how real those eggs are or whatever, but they're as close to eggs as you could possibly get. They're closer to eggs than the Nutella croissants. So that's a really good just default option when you're traveling for breakfast. Is just, yeah, like, where are the eggs? Find them and eat as many as you can, right? Pretty much everywhere's going to have them. Tip number 10 here is lift weights slower. So a lot of times when we do have equipment when traveling, it's going to be limited equipment, right? It's the hotel gym that, they advertise it as like a full gym, but you get there and it's like 1 8-pound dumbbell and this beautiful Bowflex machine that's like destroyed. That looks like somebody just like ran it through a freaking lawnmower. So you get there and you're like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? The one of the things that you can do is, with the dumbbells, if they're too light, just lift the weight slower, right? It was funny because Drew and I, we were doing some bicep curls on top of the boat this past week, and they had, I believe it was 8 or 9 kilos. And this weight is maybe 20 pounds or so, way lighter than what either of us usually use for bicep curls. And so we did like our first set just at normal tempo, and we were just standing there for like 7 minutes doing freaking bicep curls, right? Just like having a conversation, just like, when am I going to get to failure? Right. And so in order for you to not have to do a set of curls for 7 minutes, lower the weight and lift the weight slower, right? The lowering of that weight is going to make the exercise more intense when you lower it slower. And so that's a great hack, just going extremely, extremely slow when you have lighter weights, so that you're not sitting there for 7 minutes per set. Second thing here is, if you can catch the morning sunrise, catch it. This wasn't something I was able to do every single day, but I absolutely try to get it every day, because the sunrise is one of the most basic things you can do to keep your circadian rhythm on track, especially if you get direct sunlight into your eyeballs. And your circadian rhythm is really important to maintain while you're traveling, because oftentimes a jacked up circadian rhythm is what makes it harder to get back on track when you get home from traveling, right? You're traveling, you're in different time zones, you're across the world, you're jet lagged, you slept on the plane, but not really, and you didn't really make up for your 8 hours of sleep, and everything's all crazy. if you can keep that normal, natural cadence of getting some sunlight in the morning, it's going to make it easier for you to stay in that cycle and, come back and not, be useless on the Monday that you get back from your trip with, right? So try to catch morning sunrise as much as possible. Number 12 here is read your Bible. Okay. The reason I say read your Bible, it is, obviously I'm just saying this as boldly as possible, but I do think there's a lot of importance to maintaining a routine of improving yourself mentally and spiritually, even while we're traveling. Okay. A lot of times when we travel and we go on vacation or work trips, we just turn everything off mentally and spiritually, right? It's like, I'm on vacation, I'm taking a break. I don't have to work on myself. I don't have to grow. I don't have to improve. But think about the process that we've all followed here that's created all this amazing success. It is the mental and spiritual and internal work and the deep work that creates the physical transformation. And it is very simple to work on yourself mentally and spiritually while you're traveling, right? It could be something as simple as continuing to journal and continuing to write out a power list or write out your gratitude journals. It can be reading a chapter of the Bible in the morning, just so that your mind doesn't leave your environment and regress, but leaves your environment and progresses. You come back even stronger. You come back, even more on point. You come back even more inspired and even more driven, right? This was one of the first vacations that I've ever taken where I actually read the Bible every single morning. And I've never felt better coming back from a vacation. I've never felt better on a vacation. Man, I cannot recommend that enough. Work on your spiritual and mental health every single day, even if just for a few minutes, even while I travel. Huge benefit. And then second to last tip here is turn off your phone or leave it in the hotel room. Be present with everything that you do as much as you can. The reason I say this is because this is more of one of those emotional pushes, obviously, but I do believe that vacations and traveling are some of the most unique opportunities we have to really have an intense moment of gratitude, right? Like these are the experiences where we are able to look around and look at the beautiful sights and the amazing people who we're there with and just like take it all in and almost just start freaking crying, right? There are so many times on this trip where I'm just laying my head back and I'm like, man, I cannot believe we're here, right? How many times did we say that to each other, Drew? Just like, what is this? Like, we're so blessed. It was just day after day after day, like almost on the hour, just like taking it all in, like, oh my gosh, how amazing is this? And that's so much easier to do when your phone's away, whether you leave it in your room or whether you turn it off or whether you're just not on it, right? Take some time, be intentional about leaving that phone. Maybe you make sure the wife has a phone for emergencies, but you leave it so you yourself can take that time to have some gratitude and, have more to be thankful for. And when you have that gratitude, one of the beauties of gratitude is not just that it makes you happier, but whatever you're grateful for, you're going to become greater for that thing. So you have more gratitude for your family, and that makes you appreciate them more and love them more. You want to now be better for your family. You want to be around for them longer, right? Whatever you appreciate appreciates. That's a great quote from one of my good friends who's also on the boat, Mr. Jeremy Newsom. So take some time away from the phone, be grateful for what you have, because those things are going to improve if you do. Last and arguably most important tip for staying lean while you're traveling is do not skip family dinners or desserts. Do not, under any circumstances, skip family dinners or desserts. Okay. The reason I say that is this. Number one, you have 13 tips that I just gave you for how to make sure that you're burning more calories, that you're still building muscle, that you're sharpening your mind, you're getting in your protein, and you're managing your calorie intake the entire vacation. So it's really, really difficult for you to just completely ruin everything with one family dinner or one dessert, right? Unless you just like binge or something. But more importantly than the fact that you're probably just going to continue progressing physically anyway without having to skip family dinner or dessert is that family dinner or dessert is an opportunity for you to build what's even more important than your physical body. That is an opportunity for you to build your relationships with your family. Okay. And The reason that I would rather have you enjoy every family dinner and every dessert than to have you come back lighter. I'm happier seeing you come back with 3 extra pounds of water weight, but an amazing experience, than to see you come back 1 pound lighter, but you hated your vacation and you skipped dinner and didn't have dessert. Okay. Because it is the gratitude and the love for the things that are important to you, for the things that are going to last long after you're gone. That is the motivation and the reason that you're trying to get physically in shape anyway. Okay. That is your why. And if you are prioritizing your physical temporary body at the expense of your family, then we have to have a discussion about what your why is and what your identity is, right? Because this is not a group of bodybuilders. Okay. Never will be. This is not a group of people who are just sacrificing all and ruining their relationships and not enjoying life to have a perfectly chiseled 8-pack instead of a 6-pack, right? This is a group of men who is trying to build their bodies so that we can be better for our families, so we can be more present for our families, so we have more experiences with our families, so we can connect with them and lead with them on a deeper level. And I never want you guys to pass that up because you think that the dessert is going to prevent that last set of abs from coming in, or those last few pounds from coming on. Okay. So never, under any circumstances, whether you did everything on this list or none of it, skip family dinners or desserts. Sound good, team?
Great advice.
Beautiful. Drew, how many desserts did you skip this past week?
I did not skip any desserts.
Let's freaking go.
They were good. There was some good stuff.
They're amazing. They're amazing. It was so funny. So many dinners that we had with all these other people. I saw people asking Drew, like, "Oh yeah, cool. You lost 75 pounds. Like, what can you eat?" And Drew's like, "Everything." and then I look over at them. I'm like, "Hell yeah, I know, baby. Book a call." But yeah, don't skip the family dinners. Don't skip the desserts. Again, use those as opportunities to connect with your loved ones and experience gratitude for your life and for your vacation. I want to just say one caveat, not that I expect any of you guys to do it, but caveat here is make sure that those desserts and those higher calorie dinners are actually opportunities for you to build your relationships and improve your experience on the vacation. Because what I don't want is for you to say, okay, cool. Gabe said, like, don't skip any desserts at all. So I'm going to stay up after my family has gone to bed and like eat a box of Oreos. Right? That's not what I mean at all. That is ridiculous. That does not build relationships in any way possible. But if you're there with your wife in freaking Italy and the waiter comes over and is like, "Do you want the chocolat or whatever the hell they call it?" Then say yes. Okay. and yeah, I've no idea. Man, you do not want to see me in these foreign countries, man. I'm so uncultured. But see you later, Sam. Thanks for joining, brother. But yeah, say yes, right? But only if that is a moment that's going to improve your experience or relationships, right? Like, I'm able to say that I had chocolate mousse cake in the middle of a 1,400-year-old Croatian city with some of the most amazing people that I've ever met in my entire life. I wasn't in my hotel room, in my cabin though, like smashing cookies for no reason after everyone was asleep. Does that make sense, y'all?
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. That is it for today. Very, very value-packed training tactics call. We talked about training and a bunch of other things to do on vacation, but I think that was very valuable. If you guys think that this call is going to be valuable to anybody else who you know in the group, then definitely share it. And drop other suggestions. And then if you guys are traveling, please show us which one of these tactics you're implementing while you're traveling. The reason I say that is because psychologically, I know now that you know this information, in your mind, you are going to gain status by showing others that you know this information. Okay. So now I've given you this tool that you're going to want to implement so that you have higher status among this amazing group of men. And it's going to make you feel good about yourself by hopping on the chat and being like, "What's up, guys? crushed a morning workout in freaking Italy, right? You know, I'm better than you. That's going to make you feel good. That's half the reason I woke up at 6 a.m. to go on that run with Jeremy, Drew, just so I can come back and be like, yeah, I went. You guys didn't. The other reason is that that's going to help everybody else in the group, right? That's just going to be iron sharpening iron. And, vacation, it's on the list of one of the most common things when people join that either throws them off or stops them from committing to themselves, right? I can't tell you the amount of guys who have been like, yeah, Gabe, like, I'm in, man. This is exactly what I need. This is going to save my freaking life. This is going to improve me in so many ways, but I'm going on vacation. So I can't really do it, right?
I said it.
Drew said it. Let's go. Sales W. Anyway.
You tell me no.
Yeah, like,
You're
no.
doing it.
No, sorry, bud. Ain't
Yeah.
getting out of it that easy. But
Tried
anyway,
using Christmas as an excuse. Yeah.
right. Anyway, that's funny. Obviously, I'm a sales wizard, so there's no getting around that with me. But the reality is, although that's just like an objection in the sales process, that is a true excuse that people have in their minds. Like, it's a real genuine roadblock. Nobody says that because they're trying to get out and not commit. They literally think like, oh, I can't really do it because I'm going on vacation. So if you share that with people who are in the group, especially guys who haven't had the experience of going on vacation during their 12 weeks, because some guys don't have that, right? Some guys just have it kind of a clean 12 weeks, nothing crazy. Then it's going to help build the belief in them that they're capable of sustaining it no matter what. So that's going to be a great service to the entire community. But yeah, guys, that's it. Do you guys have any specific questions, any specific situations, travel coming up, anything you're considering, or did that kind of cover everything?
It's pretty comprehensive. I mean, I will say I'll probably be in touch, through the app or whatever, if things do arise. But, I think this is a real good, just fundamental start. I mean, for sure.
Mhm.
So very helpful.
Yeah,
One
absolutely.
one other quick tip: when in the airport, my flight time, it said like 23 hours. I had like a 6 or 5 hour layover at one point on the way there, and instead of you would think, okay, you got 24 hours of travel time, you're going to be sitting on a plane, but instead I literally walked laps up and down the terminal and got like almost 11,000 steps just in that 3 hour time frame. Just walking back and forth with a 40-pound backpack on my back. So there's always those times to be able to get in some activity and some steps and that type of thing.
Yeah. Wow. That's a great one, man. Walking
Good
in the
advice.
great piece of advice, brother. Thank you so much. Last piece of advice I'll give is if you're traveling with men, challenge them to something physical on the trip, because that's going to be fun. First of all, you get to talk shit to all your boys, and more importantly, it's going to be a great, cool way to hold yourself accountable to get even more activity, right? Like Jeremy, he always challenges everybody, just anytime you're hanging out, not just on vacation. But he challenged all the men on the boat that was with us. There's probably, 15 to 20 men, maybe. I don't know. It could be wrong, but 35 people, maybe half of them were men. He said, Friday morning, 6 a.m., 10K, who's in? Right. And of course, in that group chat for the trip, radio silence other than the Default Kings. The only men who showed up on this run with Mr. Jeremy Newsom, who is, by the way, somebody who's completed Ironman's 100-mile races, like he's a freaking endurance athlete, was his business partner, Matt DeLong, who has also completed Ironmans, who is an elite endurance athlete. Matt DeLong's daughter, who is a 20-year-old girl who's literally tougher than 99% of the men who are on this boat. Not kidding. She woke up and did the 10K. And then the Default Kings, myself, Joey, Drew, crushing that 10K. All the other dudes slumped, making excuses, waking up and, how was the 10K? It was real freaking good, man. Real good. Sorry you weren't part of it. Sorry your mind wasn't strong enough to commit to it. Anyway, challenge the men who you travel with. Great way to keep yourself accountable and get some more activity in. That's it, boys. You guys have a blessed rest of your day. Love y'all.
Great call, brother.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you.
Take care, y'all. Thank you.